I just watched I Saw the TV Glow, and I think it's the best movie of the year. Hey, it's me, Real Slim Katie 25 here at Geek, Gourmet. And let's get the fuck into it, okay? I just watched I Saw the TV Glow exactly 24 hours from right now. It is A24's newest horror movie from director Jane Shonenbrunn. I'm just going to call them director Jane. Because I feel like I'm butchering their last name. Who also directed We're All Going to the World's Fair. If you didn't see it, it's a total mindfuck movie, kind of like Skinamarink, in the way that it's completely, you're watching it and you're like, So going into this movie, I expected something totally mindfucky, exciting visuals, and not necessarily to make sense, right? I kind of find We're All Going to World's Fair to be very absurdist, and exciting because of that. I love seeing things that are experimental, especially in film. So I was super excited and hoping to see something very off the wall for this movie. And what I got honestly exceeded my expectations and more. A lot of complaints about this movie and a lot of reviews that I'm seeing are that it's difficult to follow. The plot is incredibly inconsequential. And to those people, and I mean this with no offense, I don't think you got it. So the basic plot of this movie, if you don't know, and I'm going to go real layman's plot here, okay? Two teenagers, there's this TV show called The Pink Opaque. It bonds these social outcasts. It's just like cults, like TV show, Charmed meets Goosebumps, very silly, and, you know, they sneak around because it's, you know, not a TV show that Owen's allowed to be watching, and it's, you know, meant for girls, and it's just not appropriate. So they like watch this TV show in secret and talk about it in secret and become closer friends until Maddie decides to escape the town and invites Owen to go with him, to go with her at the time, and then he doesn't. And then we don't hear from them. The two characters separate. Maddie disappears. A fire is at their house. And then we come back 8 years later, and Maddie is here telling Owen, this TV show, do you remember it? Like, seeming really erratic. Like, to the audience, it's like, whoa, this is really erratic. And then trying to explain to Owen, this TV show, it's not fake. It's real. It's real life. That's where I've been the last 8 years. And Owen's like, what the hell are you talking about? So then Maddie is trying to explain and encourage Owen that you have to come into this TV show. We are these two characters we are watching. It's not just a show. This is our destiny. You know, you have to join me, and you have to bury yourself alive, like happens in the TV show, to meet your true fate. So on one hand, you're looking, Maddie is very serious, believing in this. Like, this is real. This is reality. You have to follow. And then Owen's like, who is this crazy person who's trying to get me to kill myself? So, super, super interesting stuff. Anyways, then the movie devolves from there into the endingness of the movie. Owen decides to stay living his life, seemingly very miserable, in his 50s, still working, allegedly has a family, and just looks emaciated and looks like he's dying. Anyways, the movie kind of sort of ends there. I don't want to talk about speculation until later in the film. So that's the basic plot of this movie. I had a really exciting way to watch this movie because I'm watching this movie from the perspective of not only a film person, but also as a trans person. And I know this director and am familiar with them and with A24. So I went into this movie expecting to not see a surface level movie. I expected there to be more. I expected it to be really out there. I expected it to be saying things and telling me things that I needed to be listening for. So I was very aware that this movie was going to be more than that. Where this movie could be perceived as really weak is if you are just watching this movie, like, kind of brain shut off. Like, if you're not sober on a Friday night and you want to, like me, putting on Boss Baby, and, like, I'm just kind of, like, there, like, watching it, like, following very loosely. This is not that film. This movie is not really meant to be followed at base level. It wouldn't be interesting like that. So the whole movie, essentially, at least in my interpretation, is an allegory for transness, talking about, this life is very, very real to me, or to the characters. This is their reality, and Owen is unwilling to accept that as a possibility, and kind of dejects this idea of himself. And then we see the horrors of what happens when somebody does not live authentically as themselves, right? So I think even if you're not a trans person, you can relate to this idea of like how horrific it must be to live life as somebody else, not being yourself, not living authentically, not making choices from your heart and your mind, like your whole life is a performance. It's terrifying. Some images in this where Owen is trying to climb into the TV. He realizes he needs to climb into the TV and escape, and his father pulls him back in and like is like putting water on him, and then he's like, "You don't understand," like sobbing, saying, "This is not my life." I feel like that's very clear. To me, it makes a lot of sense that is what this movie is about and referring to. And especially, I feel like even if you didn't know this going in and you didn't expect that kind of thing going in, there's lots of shots. And, when Maddie's explaining about the TV show, saying, "Owen, you don't remember? You can't say you don't remember." And it flashes back to Owen wearing a dress, alluding to the idea of, wow, this was something I was exploring at this time in my life. Maybe this isn't who I am, Like, literally, he had blocked it out of, like, at least how I perceived that. It's like, he literally had to have somebody remind him because he's pushing these ideas so far away. And just really, really powerful imagery of how his own body is killing him, his own mind is killing him, right? And the illusion of this movie, like the movie in my mind is saying this TV show is real, right? We see Owen walking outside of his job, and seeing like papers and files and stuff from this TV show coming into real life, which to me is like, this TV show is real. It, in the world, it is real. It's not this will they, won't they. I think it's, this is real. This character is refusing to accept that it could even be a possibility. He becomes almost an unreliable narrator at this point, saying things like, he has a family and seemingly happy or whatever. It just feels like he's lying through his eyes. So another thing about this movie is, I think another weakness of this movie is that if you were expecting like a jump scare horror movie, this would probably disappoint you because it's not the kind of thing where it's like, rah, rah. I kind of want to compare it to the episode of Nathan For You where they make a haunted house. And the haunted house, they walk through a haunted house and then there's like a medical official and they're like, "Oh, you've been exposed actually to something like a medical emergency. We need to take you to the hospital." And the actual horror part of the haunted house is that. I don't know if that makes any sense, but the actual horrors of this movie are not the it's not like that. The horror of the movie is the idea of not being yourself, which is terrifying. This movie made me cry, sob. There was a really great quote. I listened to the podcast that Pop Culture Happy Hour did about this, and one of the hosts on it said, to love this movie is to be affected by it, right? I didn't leave this movie smiling and excited and giddy. I left this movie like, it just, man, other things about this movie, just on a baseline level, the sound is brilliant. The sound design, the soundscapes that they made, even from the rolling credits at the start of the movie, fucking brilliant. These sounds that are not necessarily recognizable, but they're definitely real. They don't sound inhuman. And just the use of color in this movie, and color is an allegory for what is real and not real, and seeing this beautiful, but it ends with a message of hope. There is still time. And to anybody out there who has ever had questions about their gender or who they are in life, man, go give this movie a watch. I mean, it just left me with a lot to think about and a lot to feel, so be ready for that, but there's always time. There's still time. So, anyways, big movie. I'm loving it. go give this movie some love so we can see other amazing queer horror and other A24 hits coming at us soon. Anyways, if you like this video, please give us a follow and stick around for more. Bye.